Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita class. We are in the middle of 8th chapter, literally. Chapter 8 has 28 verses and we are completed till 14. So we completed exactly 50%, but that was there are some very significant verses in the first 14. So we spent last entire class on the first part of chapter 8. We will cover the remaining part today and see how far we get beyond that. Before we get started, we will recite the Mangalacharan prayers because it creates auspiciousness and it creates it invites the blessings of the previous acharyas of the Supreme Lord, so that we can understand the topic of Bhagavad Gita very nicely. And as you will see today, understanding this topic of Bhagavad Gita is not easy for certain reasons. So we need the blessings of the saintly people, the previous acharyas, the Lord, to be able to understand this nicely. So we cannot understand these topics on our own strength. There is a reason for that. There's a reason why we recite these Mangalacharan prayers. So I will share the screen and we will start. Okay. So this is our Veda-based website. I think you are all familiar with it by now. And here is Bhagavad Gita. So you click on Bhagavad Gita and in the introduction, we have these Mangalacharan prayers. So those who know can recite along with me in the room. On Zoom, you can stay muted because of the sound lag. It creates it's not a very cohesive experience either for those on Zoom or in the room. And in the room, this bulb will keep flickering. Just ignore it. Okay, this is what happens in the material world. There are always pains and pleasures. We should focus our mind on spiritual topics, not be dissuaded by pains and pleasures. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so we will resume our study from the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is attaining the Supreme. So, very quickly, since we are going to start from the middle of the 8th chapter, it's an extremely important chapter. This whole section from 7 to 12 is very, very important. It's right in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita. It's like the cheese in the sandwich. It has bread on two sides and the cheese is in the middle. So it's first 6 chapters, last 6 chapters, and in the middle there is the cheese. That's how acharyas have explained. And don't think acharyas knew about cheese. They knew about Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who is a great saint from about 300 years ago. He mentioned it's like a safe box made of silver, within which you have kept a golden ring. So the box has a base and a lid, and within that is a golden ornament. So it's like this: the first 6 chapters, last 6 chapters, and then the middle 6 chapters are the golden ring. You don't use a golden box to protect a silver ring. That wouldn't make sense. So our acharyas have explained it like this. Anyway, very quick review of the in 5 minutes, just to bring us up to speed as to where we are in this chapter. So chapters 7, 8, and 9, Bhakti Jnana, Bhakti Dhyana, and Bhakti Bhakti. So we are in chapter 8, which is Bhakti Dhyana. So always thinking about Krishna. Krishna Smarana. This word Smarana is the essence of chapter 8. Smarana and Dhyana, you can see the correlation between the two. Dhyan means to do Smarana on something or someone or some object. And here we do Smarana on Krishna. So that is Smarana. So we will skip this. And Arjun asks this question: how to remember you at death? And Lord Krishna talks about 8.5, which is an extremely important verse. Anta kale cha mameva smarana muktva kalevaram, at the time of leaving the body. Yah prayati samadbhavam yati na asti atra sanshayah. There is no doubt about this, that one who remembers me attains my nature. Anta kale cha mam eva, me only. Smarana, mam eva smarana. That is the essence of this verse. That is the essence of this entire chapter. So, how to die or death? By remembering Krishna. And then we said how to remember Krishna. How can you? And then there was another verse: yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajyatyante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sadavat bhava bhavita. That whatever you remember, yam yam, what, tam tam, that. So whatever you remember, that nature you will attain. But if you remember Krishna, you will go to Krishna. So how to do that? We had discussed this whole story of Citizen Kane. And please come forward, make yourselves comfortable. And how, wherever your mind is focused throughout your life, that you are most focused on, that is what naturally you will remember. So therefore, how should one focus on? You cannot hope to hit a sixer on the last ball unless you are a Tendulkar. And what makes Tendulkar? Not his last name, his lifelong practice. We all see the glory, him lifting the World Cup and this and that, and all the TV screen shows all the glory. It doesn't show the hard work that has happened, that's put behind. So we praise the saints, all these saints, but they have put in sometimes many lifetimes of sadhana, of their tapasya, of their smarana, mam eva smarana. So that one they have done for many, that we don't see. Without doing that, that was 7.8.7, super seminal verse. That tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddhacha. It doesn't mean you should just do smarana. You have to do your duties, yuddhacha. But don't forget, sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmarana. Again, smarana. So remember Krishna and do your duty. So we talked about that. And another very important aspect, smarana of Krishna in full dedication. Full dedication. The next line of that verse is equally important. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmarana yuddhacha mai arpita manobuddhir. In that mood, with that bhava, with that feeling, we have to do Krishna smarana and do our duty. So mam anusmara mai arpita manobuddhir. That is the way in which we have to do the smaran. Then we will attain that. We'll have that ability to hit the sixer on the last ball. We may have. Okay, that antakale cha mameva smarana muktva. So that will happen. And we also discussed, somebody asked a very nice question at the end. What if we are not able to remember Krishna due to some reason? Then this question was asked by Ramanujacharya to his deity. And the deity answered that, I will remember you. You don't have to worry. So it is unlike the cricket in that sense. In cricket, maybe Tendulkar may not hit a six, even though he has put in a lifelong effort. Sometimes it happens. Here, this is where this is different from material world. You put in your effort, Krishna will guarantee the result. It's not like an exam. I prepared so hard, but the question was just such that, or maybe I made a silly mistake. How many of you it has happened? You prepared nicely, some silly mistake, and it just whole thing got ruined. Even though you knew how to do it. Something happened. That happens only in material world. In the material pursuits. In spiritual pursuit, no silly mistakes, nothing. If you have put in the effort, the result will be, Krishna will guarantee the result. Okay? It's more like your, I don't know, grad school courses. My sons are doing some grad school courses. No exams are there. You attend all the classes, you do all the homeworks properly, everything, you show interest and everything, you'll get an A. There's no final exam, there's no test. You may have to write a term paper. You write a paper, you do a little project, you implement something. You know, much less possibility. Like, I don't know, you're a doctor, but last year of your intern, what do you call residency or something, right? There's no written exam where you can make a silly mistake. It's a year-long evaluation. You see the person who's doing well, yeah, you'll become a doctor. So it's more like, you know, I'm just giving a material analogy, but that's the beauty of spiritual path. So that was the thing. So that is where we were. And then very quickly, we will come to 8.14, where Lord Krishna says that this process of bhakti, this is the process of bhakti, is very easy. So 8.14 is yet another super seminal verse. Ananya chetah satatam yo mam smarati nityashaha. So ananya chetah, this word ananya is also very important. Mam ekam or ananya means wherever you see this aspect of exclusiveness. So exclusive bhakti of Krishna. Thanks for muting yourself. Exclusive bhakti of Krishna. And when I say, by the way, Krishna, it means Rama also. It means Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayan, anyone, it's the same person. Okay, same person. Maybe, you know, your different friends may know you by different names, but you're the same person. So when Lord Krishna is speaking, it all means the same thing concept applies to all the incarnations of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu. So Ananya Chetah Satatam, always who has put his mind, Cheta means his mind or his heart, exclusively in me, Mam Smarati Nityashaha. So 2 times the word always is coming. Satatam and Nitya. There's so much focus on that. Okay, and this doesn't mean, last time we discussed, it doesn't mean you're only doing that. Don't, you know, you're not supposed to take care of your child, you're not supposed to take care of your family. That's not the meaning. Yuddhacha, remember that one. I'm kind of going back and forth and connecting all the verses. I hope you're on the same page as me, right? Tasya aham sulabha partha. This line is just this third line, 14c. Do you all understand what I mean by 14c? What does 14c mean? The third pada of 14. Okay, every verse will have A, B, C, D. We just use that. So 14c, tasya aham sulabha partha. Very, very, very important. I very easy to attain. All right. So that is where we left off, and we will now continue from here. Right timing, Prabhu. Now we are continuing from where we left off. Huh? Wait a minute. There's a little problem here. Just hold on. Sorry. I have the wrong. I have the wrong slide here. Let me see. Yeah. Yeah, correct. Okay, hopefully it will correct itself. So what are the alternatives? The alternatives are, 1 second. All right, right here. So what are the alternatives? So this is another very important verse, that Mam upetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam nam na apnuvanti mahatmanah samsiddhim paramam gatah. So what it means is that on attaining me, Mam upetya. So first he is saying, I become easy to understand, easy to attain. Tasya aham sulabha partha. Okay. Then he is saying that those who attain me are able to skip the punarjanma in this dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So those who are unable to attain me, if we take the reverse, what happens? They remain stuck in this material world, right? And this material world has been given two very important adjectives: dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Now please think about it in your own lives. Is this material world dukkhalayam? Dukkhalaya means what? A place of dukkha, like we say vidyalaya. Vidyalaya means a place of vidya. Vidyalaya means a university or a school. Vishwavidyalaya is a university. Or we say pustakalaya, a library, a place of books. Dukkhalaya means a place of misery. Is this a place of misery?
Yes, sometimes.
Sometimes. How many of you say sometimes and how many of you say most of the times? We'll just use most of the times. So those who say sometimes, or maybe there are few lucky ones who say never. Maybe. What do you say to them? This is a universally true statement. A pustakalaya is always a pustakalaya. You cannot just say, oh, this is not a pustakalaya, this is some other. You are in a garden. If you're in a library, you are in a library. So if this is a dukkhalaya, and somebody says, I don't experience any dukkhalaya, I don't experience any dukkha, what would you say to them?
Well, their good karma is on the work.
Exactly. I hope you heard that. Their good karma is on the work right now. Once that will get exhausted, the hard work starts. If the hard work is in the right direction, again, yes, you'll have to earn your wages. And more likely than not, one gets used to the pleasures, and then one looks for shortcuts. The first verse of Ishopanishad very clearly says this. Isha vashyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bunjitha ma gridha kasya svidhanam. The Lord has given everybody his quota. based on his activities. One should remain within the quota. Don't try to encroach on others' quota. Otherwise, you will suffer dearly. That comes in the next two verses of the Ishopanishad. So this first verse is clearly telling us the reason for our suffering in this world. And if there is no suffering, at least there is hard work, because you have to earn your wages. There is no eternal happiness, bliss, like you may think you're small, child under the protection of the father is enjoying. As a small child, he doesn't have to earn his wages, nothing. We took the example of a pet dog. Here, many people have, what has he done to travel with you always in the car, to go to the ice cream store? If the boss gets ice cream, he also gets ice cream. Such a nice life. So this is a place of Dukkhalaya. It's ashashvat, means it's temporary. Even if there is happiness, it is temporary. So you remain stuck in this world. Or the other alternative is you go to the supreme destination, Paramam gatim. That is the second line. That one na apnuvanti mahatmana. That he does not attain this Dukkhalaya ashashvatam. Na apnuvanti, he does not attain. And what he instead attains, samsiddhim paramam gatim. He attains the supreme destination. What is that supreme destination? Paramam gatim, eternal. It's completely opposite of this temporary material world. It's eternal. This one is temporary. There is unlimited happiness. Here, if there is happiness, it is limited. No miseries here. It's permanent. And Mam upetya punarjanma na. No punarjanma. No coming back here. And that is more clearly given in the next verse. We'll go to the next verse as well. The last line. So I will cover the first line later. A Brahma bhuvanan loka punar avartino Arjuna. I'll come to that later. Next line. Mam upetya tu kaunteya. Mam upetya, on attaining me. Okay. Punarjanma na vidyate. No punarjanma. Punarjanma means what? In this material world, there is janma mrityu, janma mrityu. In the spiritual world, there is no janma mrityu. So punarjanma na vidyate. So it is no coming back. Are you following? You all following? So that is the spiritual destination. So now comes a very important question which has been asked to me many times. So any question here? I don't expect this particular question to come up, which I'm going to show in the next slide. But any question so far? So this question comes up. So is it all about next life? Okay, you're asking me to do all this. Why? Next life will be great. Next life, or like after death, you will go to the eternal destination. So it's like a, like a pipe dream. I'm showing you a dream. Oh, if you do this, you will, next life. Kisne dekha hai? Who has seen next life? Why should I believe you? What is there in it? Are you following? Tell me something about this life first. Then I may consider doing Krishna Bhakti and all that. So it's not right here in this place. It will come so many places later in the Bhagavad Gita that it's not all about this next life. It is about this life. What about this life? This life is also for devotees, and I have shown some pictures there. I don't know if you can see this little thing where Krishna is holding this little girl and says, "My child, you are always safe in my hands. I protect you all the time." And I can tell you, my hand on my heart, again, I'm not a pure devotee by any means. Pure means like 100%, but I have even little bit. If you are practicing, you're applying sincerely in your life, it becomes all these things. Worry-free. This life becomes worry-free. Whatever is happening, things may happen, it won't affect you. All right. Ultimately, that is what matters. And there are so many things which already don't affect you, which may affect other people. You may think, "Arey, why is he getting so affected by this little thing?" Don't you think that? So there are already things that you can see where somebody else may get more affected, somebody is less affected by it. Or you yourself, when you were young, would you cry if somebody didn't give you a balloon on the birthday party?
Yeah.
Everybody got a balloon, I didn't get one. You would throw a fit maybe. Would you do that now? No. So something has changed. So you have become more mature, or you have realized the pettiness of a little balloon or something. So now again, bigger things in life, maybe your relatives or friends don't respect you very much, don't talk nicely to you, somebody close in your family, your child, your mother, father, mother-in-law, boss, whatever. There may be things. Some people you might see that they are, not affected. We call them, in some cases, we call them thick-skinned. Have you heard that? Thick-skinned. Oh, I am so sensitive. I wish I could be a little more thick-skinned. We say that. So this is not about developing a thick skin, by the way. Bhagavad Gita is, but I'm telling you, or what I'm trying to show you is that this is something you already experienced in different ways in your life. Bhagavad Gita gives you a spiritual thick skin. Okay? A spiritual thick skin in this life itself. And what is that spiritual thick skin? And I'm using that word little loosely here. Okay? It's not like thick skin is like a negative thing, or it's a little cheap or something. So, but pardon me for putting it in that way. But Bhagavad Gita, one is able to see Krishna's protection in one's life.
Shield.
If you have, let's say somebody is there who's, let's say friends don't behave very nicely with you, somebody like this, or some friends don't behave nicely with you, right? If you have one, let us say one very good friend, like your best friend, like everything that you can want for in a friend, if you have one such person, what would the situation be then? And then there are others who don't like you that much, or who don't talk nicely to you that much. Would you care that much that they don't? One good friend, okay, yes, I have one, isn't it? Or in many cases, like I'll take a more personal, like a more sort of an example, husband and wife, this mother-in-law problems. How many of you have had mother-in-law problems? Typical, right? In all families. But when the husband is very supportive, then does that become less?
Yeah.
Or let's say if the husband is always also like the mother, then it's a hellish condition, isn't it? Are you seeing? So Krishna is that person in one's life. Krishna is that person in one's life. One begins to see, literally one begins to see, what do I have to worry? I have the best person in my life right beside me, holding me in his arms, just like that picture. That is, and when that firm, it's not some kind of a brainwash. This comes with practice, years of practice. It is known as Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti. It comes by practice. It's not just some brainwash or some way of thinking, or no. It's very real. When practiced, you transform. Your spiritual progress gives you that firm conviction, that firm belief that yes, he's my friend. And it's not just belief, you will see that in action in your life. You will see his protection. I have seen it in my life. Not once, not twice, many times. Many times. Very, very private things which I don't want to share. But I can tell you that little places. So life becomes worry-free. He takes away the impediments. No stress. Stressful things may happen, but you won't get this. You won't feel the stress. The stress won't get to you. And even if some things happen a little bit, it's like a token. And sometimes just because Krishna is so, and one more, I think we shared this in the previous, Krishna is very, very much more interested to not lose you. He already lost us. We have been wandering. Brahmanda Brahmite. We have been wandering around the Brahmanda, the whole universe, our soul. Kona Bhagyavana Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasade Paye, Bhakti Lata Bija. That by some chance we got connected to Krishna. He doesn't want to lose us. Okay. Like a father, he got the address, the phone number of the lost son. At least I have some connection. I don't want to lose that. Maybe he'll change the phone number and again disappear. So sometimes this, father begins to, he will help. Sometimes he may remind us that, stay connected to me. Remember, this world is not that good. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So he may give us a little glimpse once or twice so that we can say, okay, this alternative is so much better. So much better. So that is it's a lot more about this life. So it's not just a pipe dream that Bhagavad Gita is painting. Your next life will be great. Like one of your scam schemes, your marketing, your whatever, those pyramid schemes. Okay, you put your money. One day, you'll make money. Right now, all you have to do is put money in. Some one day will come when you will reap the benefits. No, the benefits you get to reap right away. Okay, it's not any multi-level marketing scheme or anything like that. It's very real. Okay. So that is 16th verse, second half. Now, what I want to do is have you read 16, 17, 18, 19, 4 verses. And we will talk about something very nice, very nice. The point of, please listen, the point of this discussion for the next few minutes is going to be the temporariness of the material world. The temporariness of the material world. So please read that and then we will discuss. Take like 40 seconds, maybe, or 1 minute. Just the translations. Okay. Ready? Look up if you're ready. That way I know you're done. Okay. So what this is explaining. So in this picture here, and this is a sort of a picture we will use, or we have used before, and we will use it again and again. This is showing the spiritual world. The top half is showing the spiritual world. The bottom half is showing the material world, within which there are multiple universes, not just one. One of them is kind of blown up, zoomed in to show the internal details, but there are unlimited number of universes coming out of the body of Mahavishnu. And that Mahavishnu is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu coming from the spiritual world into the material world. And then unlimited number of universes are coming out of his body. Okay. And in this material, in this one of these universes, every universe has a Brahma, who is the sort of the chief engineer or the, main person in charge of executing all the functions of that universe. Every universe has a different Brahma. Brahma is a position, like you can say president. Every country has a president. So Brahma is a position. So, and then Brahma is also a jiva, a much more spiritually realized jiva, but he's also a jiva just like us. He also has a life and a death. He has a birth and death. Now, he may not be born out of a woman, and he may not be having a little baby like in a cradle, but he's still born and he still faces death. So birth and death are still applicable to even to Brahma. So that is what is being shown here. And I want to show this sort of cosmic time scales. How long is Brahma's life? Any guess? In our terms, in our years, months, days, like we calculate.
One day was 1,000 ages.
So just I'm asking for one number. We live, how many years do humans live? Give me just some random average.
82.
Okay, so we can just say 100 as a number. How long does Brahma live? The answer is our Brahma, every Brahma has a different age. So our Brahma in this universe has an age of 311 trillion years. Trillion years. Okay. And we can go through that if you are interested. I'm not going to spend the time to go through all those calculations. But there is this very nice file in this gitapdx.com website, our website. And I can just point you to that and I can show you a sample, little small sample. But the point is that 300 and, sorry, there should not be a decimal there. I need to fix that. It's not 3.11, it's 311. So 311 trillion years is still finite. Okay. And is still temporary, even though it is very, very, very long, but it is still finite. In the large scheme of things, it is a blip. In this other diagram that I showed you here, I don't know if you can see, there is Lord Mahavishnu here. With every breath of his, with every breath, universes are coming out. And as he inhales, they all go back in. That is the life of one Brahma. That's the life of one Brahma. From Mahavishnu's standpoint, it is a blip. There's a very nice story given in the scriptures that there are so many Brahmas and Brahma becomes proud. I am Brahma. So one time, Brahmaji went to, our Brahma of this universe went to Vaikuntha to get an audience with Lord Vishnu. So he knocked on the door and the servant of Lord Vishnu came, said, okay, yes, what do you want? Who are you? So he said, I am Brahma. Please tell Lord Vishnu, I want to see him. Of course, he respects, but he became a little proud. And Lord Vishnu knows the pride in the heart. So to break that pride, he told his servant, go ask him which Brahma. So the servant came back and said, boss is asking. I told him Brahma has come. He asked which Brahma. I said, what do you mean which Brahma? There is one Brahma, right? Like, what do you mean? There are not like 50 or 200 Brahmas. So the Lord had told him, he will ask this question. Don't say anything. Let him come in. So he says, okay, you can come. So he comes there. Then Lord Vishnu summons all the Brahmas from all the other universes at that point of time. And then his pride is broken. He sees, I am not the only one. I am one in millions and billions and trillions of Brahmas from many, many other universes. So, even his life, his pride, his longevity is still very, very minuscule in front of the Lord. And that is the Lord whose devotee we can become. So we are aiming for the Supreme Lord. We are not, kindly mute yourself, please. I can hear some background noise. Thanks. Okay. So it is still temporary. And what Lord Krishna says in that's what the second line we already read. Mam upetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. that we can attain a position along with Lord Vishnu, not become Lord Vishnu, but go to that supreme abode where it is eternal. Even 311 trillion years, which seems like a blip, it's eternal. It's literally eternal. And we can see this in today's world. According to scientific understanding, there are organisms which live for a few minutes. Just a few minutes they live. From our standpoint, they live a few minutes. Now, of course, science cannot go into the consciousness of those organisms, but they also experience a full life. They experience birth and, whatever, reproduction and this and that, and they have the full joy of whatever in that small body, and they face death. We feel, oh, I'm so lucky, I'm living 100 years. That little fellow is only living for 2 minutes or 1 day. A dog lives for 8 years, 10 years, something like that. And there are animals who live for hundreds of years. I don't know what's the age of dinosaurs used to be. I don't know. Somebody can tell me. Okay. It is all finite. Nobody, when death approaches, whether it was 310, even nobody feels like, oh, I had a great life. I wish it was a little shorter. It was just too long. Nobody feels that. Life always feels short. Whether it is 311 trillion years or 100 years or 10 years or 10 days. So it is always temporary. But we can go to that place which is permanent. And so we are, and another thing that you must have read in these verses is that when this universe is destroyed, now that I won't go into other details, but partial destruction happens during the night of Brahma, and then reconstructions happen during the day. And then when Brahma dies, like I said, he also has death. It's not like we get a free ticket to spiritual world. We go into the unmanifest state within the body of Vishnu, and then we come out into another universe. So we jivas, those who have not gone to the spiritual world, they stay in the material world even after Brahma's life is over. There's no free ticket. So we'll eternally keep rolling in this material world. They appear in another Brahma's universe. So don't think that if this Brahma, I will, you will outlive the soul is eternal. We read that in chapter 2 itself. The soul is eternal. It will keep revolving in the material world from universe to universe to universe to universe. Or in this life itself, you can go to the spiritual world if you apply the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and make this very life very happy and the future also very happy. Okay. So that was the description of this material world. I just wanted to also, this is a very interesting topic, so I'll just share this aspect with you. Let me share this browser screen. So if you go to gitapdx.com, and if you click on this, these 3 lines at the top, left hand corner, you will go to something called useful links. Okay. And within that, it's a very primitive website. Me and my wife created it using some very free tools and all that. So it's not the world's best website. Okay. But it serves the purpose. Within this, there is something called Bhagavad Gita materials, shared folder. It will take you to a Google Drive. And within that, there is a folder called interesting documents right here. Do you see that? And within that, this creation poster is there, the one that I have been showing you. So you can download it, creationposter.jpg. So you can, have this file with you. The other one that is there that I wanted to point out is this Vedic time periods.pdf. You can download it and have a more detailed look, and it's a fun conversation I can have with you at any time. I'm very interested in all these kind of things. And that PDF is here. Let me share this on the screen. I hope you can see some of this. Anyway, yeah. So it shows, so basically just to kind of give you a sense, it starts with our Kali Yuga right here. is 432,000 years. Kali Yuga started about 5,000 years ago. Okay. It will go on for another 427,000 years. That is Kali Yuga. Double that is the size of Dwapar Yuga. So how much is the double of 432? 864,000 years. Triple of that is the size of Treta Yuga. And quadruple of that size is that number is the duration of Satyuga. Are you following? So Satyuga is the longest. Kali Yuga is very short. And if you add all these up, this is known as one Chatur Yuga. Chatur Yuga means 4 yugas put together. That comes to 4.32 million years is one Chatur Yuga. Okay. And 1,000 such yuga, that was what was mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita verse. 1,000 such cycles appear or in one day of Brahma. In one day of Brahma, 1,000 such cycles happen. Chatur Yuga cycles. In the day of Brahma. And then that much is also the night of Brahma. So that is one day and night of Brahma. If you want, you can all do the math on your calculators if you want. Or later you can do. And then Brahma lives for 100 years of his years, each year having 360 days. So for 36,000 days he lives. Each day was that long, 1,000 Chatur Yuga cycles. Each Chatur Yuga cycle is our 4.32 million years. So now you can do the math. You can do the math. I mean, I'm tempted to do the math in front of you. So that's my iPhone. So 4.32 million. So 432 million. One. Oops. So this is 4.32 million. This is 1 times 1,000 such cycles. Whatever number it comes, that is the daytime, times 2, night time. That much we get as 1 day of Brahma, times how much we have to multiply? 36,000. So times 36,000. That should give around 311. There are some errors we have to account for. 3.11 times 10 to the power, E means times 10 to the power 14. 311 trillion. Can you see? So that's how we get. So that is the Vedic time scale. You can understand. And our Vedas have detailed descriptions of all what happens and this whole transitions and everything. The 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam has a lot more details. And there are so many devotees who are scientifically oriented and they're doing a lot of research in these areas. So, it's very rich and interesting and very, kind of in the intersection of science and spirituality, a lot of things which are to be, relished. I wouldn't say, people are even trying, okay, from the Vedas, can we get clues and, maybe discover some real science from that and get a Nobel Prize or whatever, this and that. Our Vedas have that. But of course, the purpose of the Vedas is not to show how all the details of how the world works. The purpose of the Vedas and the Puranas is to make us into devotees of Bhagavan, so that we can come out of this cycle of Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam and go to Vaikuntha. That is the purpose. The purpose is not to make us more and more knowledgeable about how this works. Okay, if you buy a car and the salesman starts telling you all the design specs of the engine and this and that, what will you tell him? What will you tell him, Mataji? If he starts telling you all the, or I work at Intel, so are many people here. And you buy a computer, not the Mac, this doesn't have Intel, this one, Lenovo. And I start telling you the CPU microprocessor has this and that and that and that and that. What will you tell me?
I don't need all this.
Tell me how to do WhatsApp. Tell me how to do Chrome browser, how I can do my Gmail. Why are you boring me with all these, internal microprocessor and this and that and PCI Express and Thunderbolt and all that? I'm not interested. So the Vedas or the Puranas are not meant for that. They are meant to understand that this world has its benefits and limitations, how to overcome that and go to Vaikuntha. So therefore, all the equations and all the details have not been, it's not the purpose of the Vedas and the Puranas. Are you following? So that was the
And Krishna appears once in the day of Brahma. Right?
and every day of Brahma, Krishna appears once.
To Brahma.
Huh?
To Brahma.
No, to everybody who saw him. I mean, so many saints and so many people, so many devotees saw Krishna 5,000 years ago. We are lucky to be in a time which is close enough to that point in time within the day of Brahma when Krishna appeared. So Krishna appears how many times during life of Brahma? Let's see how many of you are awake. 36,000 times. Good. So you're all listening. Okay, let's go back to our PowerPoint. Okay. So now we talked about the material world. This is how the material world is. This is how long it lasts and so many other details. But the purpose is to go out of this material world into the spiritual world. So what about the spiritual world? So that spiritual world description is given in the next 3 verses, 20, 21, and 22. Very, very beautiful description is given. And there, Lord Krishna says that this spiritual world, and it's a direct contrast to the material world that was just described. Even though its duration, its lifespan is so long, the point was it is still finite. Okay, that is the point. Whereas the spiritual world is beyond this material world. Okay, paras tatsmat tu bhavo anyo. That's how the 20th verse starts. Paras means it's beyond. Para. Okay, to this material world. To bhavo anyo, it's different and it's beyond this material world. And it is never destroyed. This material world keeps getting destroyed. That was just said. Brahma has a finite life. It goes partial every day and night, and then finally it finishes. Whereas that material, the spiritual world, is Sanatana. Sanatana means what? Sanatana means eternal. That's why our dharma is also called Sanatan Dharma. It's the eternal dharma. And na vinashyati. It's never destroyed. So that spiritual world is never destroyed. And then in the next verse, so I'm kind of skipping over because we are going faster. In the 16th verse or in the 15th verse, what did Lord Krishna say? Sam siddhim paramam gataha. Look at 8.15. It is the I become easy to obtain. Tasya aham sulabha partha. 8.14. Correct. But where does he go? The jiva paramam gataha. Correct. That was what was said. Whose home is that paramam gataha? Is it Krishna's home or is it somebody else's? That was not yet revealed. What is that place? That is revealed in 21, where Lord Krishna says that yam prapya na nivartante. Same thing. Yam prapya, on attaining it. Prapya na nivartante. Nivartante means comes back. Na nivartante, he does not come back. On attaining that world, one does not come back. Tad dham. That place, dham means home. Tad dhama paramam. And what is the last word? Mama. It's my home. I live there. It's my home. And by extension, it is your home as well. Because you are my children. So it's your home, your original home. You wandered off into the woods. Okay. So Lord Krishna is inviting all of us back home. And that home is his home, Tad Dhama, and it's the topmost home. It's the most wonderful, peaceful, blissful home. Are you following? Then 22. Who gets to go there? Please see what is written. Purushah sa parah partha bhaktya labhyatva ananyaya. Who gets to go there? Bhaktya labhyatva ananyaya. Labhya means to obtain or attain. Labh. Labhya. Bhakta ananya. Ananya bhakta. So exclusively my devotee who have, we talked about this. So this Ananya word has come so many times. So Ananya Krishna Bhakti is what is needed. That is also known as Shuddha Bhakti, or another technical name for it is Kevala Bhakti or Kaivalya Bhakti is the name. Kaivalya. Kaivalya means only to Bhagavan. Okay. So another place where Bhaktya Labhya Tva Ananyaya is coming. All right. Done? Are you all on the same page with me? Now comes a discussion about, just like in the 7th chapter, Lord Krishna is talking about devotees, what happens, they come to me and all that. What about others? So what happens to others? This is now a discussion about others. It's nice to know. Okay. But if you are planning to become a Krishna Bhakta, really this is not relevant. But it's nice to know what happens to the other people. Or this could apply to you if you are not a Krishna Bhakta or a Bhagavat Bhakta. Bhagavat means Bhagavan's Bhakta. Bhagavan is only one. He may have different names. So please read these 4 verses, 23, 24, 25, and 26 quickly. And I will explain it. Take 1 minute and I'll explain what's going on through my slides. So 23 to 26, please read. So verse number 23, I just want to point out, it says that it's talking about the yogis. And these yogis are those who are not bhakti yogis. That is the understanding. What happens to them? So let me just show you these bullets. Various levels of yogis who have followed other spiritual paths. You following? Okay. Are you done? So now these verses, some of these verses are misunderstood. And I will tell you the misunderstanding so that you don't misunderstand. Okay. So what is being said here is that there are various types of yogis and there are various types of yogas, which we have discussed in the previous chapters of Bhagavad Gita already. 7th chapter onwards, we are discussing which yoga?
Bhakti Yoga.
Bhakti Yoga. Before that, we have discussed other paths, other yogas, and there are sub-levels and subdivisions, and it's a very, but 3 broad categories have been described previously: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga. So there are various types of yogis and there are various levels of their progress. Not everybody is equal. So depending on their spiritual progress and the path they have chosen, some attain Brahman realization. We have talked at length about it. I'm not going to discuss that again. Or some go to other material planets and then come back to the earthly plane. Okay, that is what is mentioned here. But what is mentioned here is that the yogis who leave when the sun is in uttarayana. Uttarayana means in the northern hemisphere. The sun, if you know, I don't know if you've read like It's known as solar astronomy. So astronomy that is just focusing on the solar system and how, from the Earth's perspective, the sun's movement looks. So I don't know if we've all been working from home for many years. If you have a south-facing home or a north-facing home, you might have seen the sun, kind of comes into the north side in the summers because we are in the northern hemisphere. And in the winter months, the sun doesn't kind of shine in your, into your house if your window is on the northern side. Have you observed this, any of you? I have observed this quite a bit. So anyway, that is called as uttarayana, dakshinayana, and the sun kind of moves from north to south during its daily journey from east to west. Anyway, so the point is, the way it is written here is that those who leave their bodies in uttarayana go to Brahman, those who live in dakshinayana go to other material planets. No, that is not the understanding. These are just vehicles. Please understand this. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because this is not really relevant to bhakti, but it is not that, there are a year, it has 6 months and 6 months. If I'm lucky enough to die in these 6 months, I'll go to Brahman. All I have to do is, it's a 50-50. Why I have to do this Bhakti Yoga and all this stuff? If I die in Uttarayana, when the sun was in Uttarayana, I'll go to Brahman. Great, good deal. That is also liberation from the material world. Free ticket. It's like half the people statistically die in those 6 months, and statistically the other half will die in the other. It means half the people are going to Brahman, huh? Wow, good deal. 50-50 chance. That is the wrong understanding. These are vehicles. The yogis, those who have practiced that, they still have to take that vehicle to go to Brahman. They won't get an entry ticket into that vehicle. They must have earned their ticket. And when the time comes, they can control their death. And when the time comes for them, for the Uttarayana, then they leave the body and then they are able to sort of take that vehicle and complete the journey. So it's not the point is, one should not misunderstand these verses as, free ticket is available. Why I'm being shown this whole difficult or path where I have to do all this other thing. So that is the wrong understanding. That is the main point to be clarified from the standpoint of those who are trying to understand Bhagavad Gita, that don't fall into this trap. Because if you fall into this trap, it may lead to you to think, why do bhakti at all? Are you following?
No, I didn't understand.
Didn't understand?
No, I mean,
I'm sure you understood some part of it. So what's your doubt or your question?
so you're saying that the people who are yogis can control when they die,
Yes.
and therefore if they die during the summertime in the northern hemisphere, in the winter time during the southern hemisphere, they'll go to Brahman. But those who are not yogis are unable to control the time when they
No,
die.
that's not what I said.
Okay,
So I didn't, that's not, I didn't see any of that. So let me clarify. Now I can see your doubt. Sorry to interrupt. The yogis who have obviously going to other material planets and coming back is a lower level of progress than those who attain Brahman. That should be clear, correct? So let me explain that in a little more detail. Those who have more advanced practice, who have done very advanced practice of one of those other processes of yoga, obviously they have read Bhagavad Gita or other, they know that I need to leave my body during the Uttarayana period. Are you following? They will be able to control their time of death to when the sun comes there. And when the sun comes there, then they will leave the body. And at that time, they will get an entry into the Brahman. So it's like you are qualified. You bought a business class ticket on Singapore Airlines to go to Singapore from here. All right. You are qualified to buy a business class ticket. I am, a cheapo guy. I buy a coach class ticket in, I don't know, some other lower level airline. But you're that. So, but you still have to wait for the correct flight to arrive at the correct destination. You have to be there to take that flight. Just because the flight is available there, if I show up and show my other ticket, they will say, sorry, sir, you're not allowed here. So you have to work towards earning that ticket, that very expensive ticket. And then you have to show up there, and then they will let you in and you will go there.
So what happens if a non-yogi dies during uttarayana?
He'll go wherever he goes. He'll go to an even lower place, or he will, just go to the earthly planet. He will stay on the earthly planet. So some progress has to be made. So what is mentioned here for the Dakshinayana is that the mystic who passes away, okay, it's also about a mystic. Jyotir yogi prapya nivartate. From this world, during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon, or the 6 months when the sun passes in the Dakshinayana. Shanmasa Dakshinayanam. Shanmasa means the 6 months of the Dakshinayanam. Reaches the moon planet, but comes back. So the moon planet is still considered higher. If you are not there, you will stay on the earth planet as well. You won't even go there. All right. Are you following? So you have worked hard. You want to go to your destination. You got to show up at the right time, at the right place. You'll at least go to that place. So basically, you'll get what you paid for. But if you don't show up at the right, then you'll miss your flight or your vehicle, and you'll stay where you are. Is it clear now?
It's better, thank you.
Better. Okay. I'd like it to be fully clear, but we can talk of later. All right. But that is not the point. Again, that's like trying to understand how the CPU works and all that. There are a lot of scriptures that talk about this aspect in detail, because they talk about this whole process of yoga in detail. What is meant to be understood is that, and that is going to get clarified in the next two verses, which are the last 2 verses of the 8th chapter. A devotee does not care. He does not care. The other part, which is not said in these last 2 verses, is devotee should not give up his bhakti and feel that if I just show up at the right place at the right time, I'll get a free entry into the aeroplane. Oh, Singapore Airlines business class, full business class, Airbus 380, all seats are business class seats. I don't know if there's such a flight or not, but let's say all seats are first class, luxury flight to Brahman. I just have to show up there at the right time. You show up there, you didn't do bhakti, and you didn't do any other process of yoga. You somehow found out that this is the place to show up. Please don't think you will be let on the flight. That is the point being made here. That is what one should understand. So you can either choose to earn the first class ticket, which is much, much more difficult, or you can do bhakti, which is tasya aham sulabha partha, much easier. And then you will not only go to the Singapore destination, you will go to a much higher place. Tad dhamam paramam mama. So which one do you want to go? That is the question, or that is the understanding that Lord Krishna is trying to establish. I think I've explained it as clearly as I could. That is the understanding you are expected to get out of these verses. Not like, how can I become a big yogi and then take this and then that? You have to read other scriptures for that. Bhagavad Gita is a bhakti scripture. This is not going to tell you those details. Okay? Clear about this topic? Prabhuji, is this much better now?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And that is what 27 says. What does 27 say? Although the devotees know these 2 paths, obviously they are reading Bhagavad Gita and it's right here. So we know these 2 paths. Devotees know these 2 paths. They are never bewildered. Therefore, always be fixed in devotion. So devotees don't. And the next verse will tell why they are never not bewildered or not attracted. Oh my God, first class seat to, this wonderful flight. Shall I try my luck, or shall I go there? Shall I board that, try to find out what it takes to get on the flight? Huh? Why do they not think like that? So first, in this verse, it is being said, they don't care. They don't think about it. And the reason, part of the reason is because they know they are going to a higher destination. Okay. And the second reason, so do the devotees also need these vehicles? That's the question. The answer is no, they don't need these vehicles. Okay. Krishna's devotees know the theory about all this uttarayana, dakshinayana, but they don't care. They do not need these vehicles. Why do they not need these vehicles? Even the other yogis of other paths, after practicing all those things, after doing the hard work to earn a ticket, to buy a ticket, they still need to board the vehicle. Are you following? Why do devotees not need any vehicle?
Because Krishna,
They have full faith on Krishna.
Yes, they have the best vehicle. And they don't have to board it. Krishna will come and pick you up. He will make you board. You just have to, like, wherever you are, you don't even have to go to the right place at the right time. Krishna will come. The airport will come to you. Okay. So that is why they don't need these vehicles, because Krishna carries them. And then the 28th verse, what about the other things? Hey, devotee mein, oh, what about the luxury of sitting in that first class flight? What about this? What about that? Of course, those yogis have done a lot of hard work. In 7th chapter, what was said? Janmanam bahunam vante, jnanavan mam prapadyate. After they have done lifetime and lifetime of tapasya, there's a lot to be gained from that, isn't it? So what if a devotee thinks, oh, I'm missing out on that first class flight, nice luxury, this, that. So in the 28th verse, what does Lord Krishna say? Are the devotees bereft of all those benefits? No, not only they get to go with me, they get all those benefits as well. That is the last verse of chapter number 28. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas. This is your Jnana Yoga. Undergoing austerities. This is your Dhyana Yoga. Remember, austerity of not even breathing. Is that an austerity? Doing simple Bhastrika exercise itself is an austerity. What, let alone, stopping to breathe itself. Bigger austerity. Giving charity. That's Karma Yoga. So, all these paths, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, one is not bereft of all these things. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all of these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. So, are the devotees, Bhakta, are they bereft of all these other benefits? No. Lord Krishna says, my devotees are not bereft of these benefits of these other yogic processes. Simply by performing my bhakti, he attains the benefits of all the other processes, and the destination is far higher, my eternal abode. Not some Singapore, not just, Brahman. They go directly to Bhagavan. Are you following? And therefore, become my devotee. This will be the punchline of chapter 9. Mad manah bhava mad bhakta. What is the meaning of bhava mad bhakta? Bhava means become, mad means my, bhakta means devotee. Look at 9.34, last verse of chapter 9. Bhava mad bhakta, become my devotee. So very clearly Lord Krishna is saying, and he's giving all these reasonings. And he's also giving you arguments, counter arguments to arguments you may hear from other people. Oh, this process is there, that process is there, you will get this, you will get that. Krishna is saying, don't worry. And if you want more details, real examples, we can read Srimad Bhagavatam. I can recall 2 examples from Srimad Bhagavatam. The story of Dhruva, little boy Dhruva. I'm not going to describe the story. Do you know the story?
You explained in one class.
Yeah. And end of his life, the Pushpak Viman comes. Much better than your Airbus 380 first class. Pushpak Viman, the Lord sends his Pushpak Viman, and Dhruva goes in that to Vaikuntha. Similarly, Ajamil story, 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Dhruva story is in 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Same Pushpak Viman comes for him also, for Ajamil, and takes him to the spiritual world. The Vishnu Dutas, the 4 Vishnu Dutas who had come earlier to fight for him, are the ones who come again in the Pushpak Viman to carry him. They are his like cabin crew. He had a pretty good flight to Vaikuntha. So you can read all those details in the Bhagavatam. Are you following? So that is the end of chapter 8. So now question answer time. Otherwise, we can start chapter 9. So I will give you 2 minutes. You can think of questions you have, any discussions, pertinent discussions. Otherwise, I have no problem. We can start off on chapter 9. There's a lot of material to cover, and we can make use of the remaining time. So I'm going to stop sharing and look at my chat here. Okay, somebody said dinosaur lifespan is 70 to 300 years. Okay. Still finite. We went to California one time with our kids, redwood trees. How many of you have heard of redwood trees? 5,000 years lifetime or something. I mean, they are also living beings. They are living entities. So still finite. We saw some dead redwood trees. Even 5,000 years wasn't, they still died. Anyway, yes.
So there's a question on the.
You go ahead. Let me, okay, it's in the correct mode.
So I don't know if it is pertinent. If it's not pertinent, you could take it some other time. And I believe in God, and I'm asking this question with all humility and with very healthy trepidation as well. Why did God make earth? The world. So the reason I'm asking is this very simple. This is a material world which has a lot of attachment. Everybody remembers the moment a child was born. I will never forget that. So why
I tend to fine-tune questions a little bit as we go.
So,
material world is not made with attachments. We have developed attachment to it. Okay, go ahead.
but the rules of it were made by God.
Yes.
So why make the rules that will take us away from God? Or why punish us to follow the rules that God made?
Why make the rules which will take us away from God? That was part 1. And
because that's
why
the attachment with material world, including the people that we love.
Okay, and the second part was why punish us?
Yeah, so or why punish us for following the rules that God himself made?
Or why punish us for following the rules or for
Right.
breaking the rules?
No, following the rules. So for
Following the
example,
rules.
if we are attached to the
Give me an
material world,
example.
so everybody is attached to their children,
Okay.
right? And that's, but God is saying, don't be attached to anything.
No.
Well, though we discussed this, that the only attachment should be to spiritual goals, not for material goals. And anything that's in this world, including people, is material goals.
Okay. So very nice question. And I think this itself will take up a lot of our discussion time. So we'll probably.
And if it's not pertinent.
No, it is very pertinent. I'm glad you asked this. And
maybe you would kick me out of the class.
I would thank you for asking such an important question. Okay. Somehow, since I've been reading all this, and I, as a teacher, I don't know if you've been a teacher ever, if you've been teaching the course for so many years, you're going at your pace and you're expecting your students to be like on track. And you might think, I've explained this, and why the heck don't they get it? Do they attend the class? Don't they listen properly? I mean, like, dude, you've been teaching this for 15 years and, you've gone through all the questions and this and that. Don't expect others to, understand it in one snap. So it takes time to understand and internalize. And it's, these are great questions and these are the important questions. The Shastra says that, I'll tell you one thing, that any understanding, but especially spiritual understanding, happens in steps or happens in parts. 25% of the spiritual understanding comes from teachers and the book. Teacher teaches from the book. So I'm teaching you from Bhagavad Gita. So you can say teacher or book. 25% comes through group discussions. Like just now, like he asked the question, how many of you would be benefited by that answer? Or I said, you know what, privately, I'll tell you the answer. Let's continue with the other things. This question is not relevant. Would you be happy if I said that? Many people are looking so that this group discussion. So 25% happens on that. 25%, now this is the important part. You're doing the first two. This one, please think, 25% happens by Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya means take the damn book, sit in a lonely or by yourself and struggle with it. Try to understand. Swadhyaya just doesn't mean read, and then I'm not getting it and fall asleep. All those who have been through some college or some, rigorous study, one of my teachers told me, tighten your belt, hunker down and figure it out. Like I've told you enough, hunker down and figure it out. Like unless you do that, that is Swadhyaya. And last 25% comes by time. You cannot fast track, or you cannot, or do anything from your side. That part is out of your control. The first three are in your control. You can go find the best teacher, the best book, the best class to attend. You can find the best group to be a part of. And you can do a lot of Swadhyaya, Swa-Adhyaya. The fourth one, unfortunately, is out of your control with time, but with constant engagement. But it will come over time.
Nothing by experience.
No, so there's a lot of experience in the first three. That is all experience itself. Swadhyaya doesn't mean just reading, applying, and so this is very applicative. All right. Anyway, now coming to your question. So let me explain the general aspect. A lot of your questions will get answered in this explanation. Please let me know if it doesn't. All right. We were with our father. When? I don't know. We were with our father. Then, and we were happily enjoying with him. Imagine you have children. So imagine, I'm sure your children are not like that, or none of ours are. But imagine one day the child says, you know what? Why should I live with my dad? He's always like, I want to show him I can do it on my own. I don't need my dad. Somehow or the other, that, again, I'm just trying to modernize and dramatize it. Okay. This is known as the Bahirmukha vritti. Bahirmukh means look the other way. Huh?
Looking outside.
Looking the other way. And then he leaves. He says, Dad, I want to go. Dad says, no, don't go. But he says, you know what? I want to go. I've had enough. I want to figure it out on my own. What does dad do? Will you say, okay, go suffer? Huh? Go suffer. No, he won't do that. He'll say, okay, where do you want to go? I want to go away from you. Okay, I'll make this. I'll make this nice other place. You'll be far away from me. Don't worry. I won't come there. You won't see my face. Okay, you want to be away from me? You'll be away from me, but I'll create this nice place for you. You go there. You'll be away from me. I'll create all the items for where you can be happy. Father never wants his child, oh, you said you will going to go away from me, I'm going to punish you. So he created this nice world. There's this very nice verse in the Upanishads, again in the Ishopanishad. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. So the first two lines, the first two phrases in the first line itself is Om Purnamadaha Purnam Idam. I gave a whole class a few months back on just this one line. Purnam Adaha means Bhagavan is Purna, and Purnam Idam means this material world, not the spiritual world. Even the material world is Purna. It's full of facilities where one can live happily, if one lives by a dharmic life. All right? So you live like a dharmic life, and you will live happily here. There will be ups and downs, some temporary ups and downs. At least you will have to earn your living. That's what you wanted. When the child leaves the father, doesn't he have to go earn his own living? And if he does not want to get into trouble, he has to be legal, stay dharmic. Don't overspend your credit card. And then don't default. Otherwise, the creditor, or what you call them, the collectors, debt collectors will come. Don't evade them. Then it will go to court and the police will come and put you in jail. Or to pay the debt, you will, steal or do something. That is called Mahagridha Kasyas Vidhanam. Isha Vashyam Idam Sarvam. Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat. The Lord has created this word nicely. Tena Tyaktena Bhunjitha. That live within your quota. Mahagridha Kasyas Vidhanam. Somebody else's property. Don't try to encroach on it. Okay? That is the first verse of Ishopanishad. Let me show you. This is important. So, I'll share my screen. And we will go to Veda base. And we have Ishopanishad right here, Sri Ishopanishad. Do you see this book? And the first verse is that one. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. The second verse is Isha Vashyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktena Bhunjitha Magradha Kasyas Vidhanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within this universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself which are set aside as his quota. And one should not accept other things knowing well to whom they belong. So we have been given this nice place to live happily as long as we live in a dharmic way. Are we living in a dharmic way? That is the question. Now, dharmic doesn't mean abiding by the US Constitution. Dharmic means so many other things. US Constitution says all men are born equal. And actually, literally, it was that. Men only. Not only men. Even I'm telling you the fallacies in the US Constitution, which is the laws you are supposed to abide by while living here. We think those are the only laws. Earlier, it was just not only men, white men. Every slave was 3/5 of a vote. 3/5, imagine that. So it was, they went even, and that too, the white man got to decide which way to cast the vote. It was just how many votes he can cast based on the number of slaves. Slavery was abolished. Women were still not allowed to vote. Slavery was abolished by the emancipation after the Civil War in the 1800s, 1865 and 18 other amendments, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. The 19th Amendment in 1923 gave the women the right to vote. After First World War, when the women played a big role in World War I, in filling up the factories to produce guns, because all the men were out there fighting. So the women said, hey, dudes, we are doing so much, we need to vote. Then the US said, fine, 19th Amendment. And then what about all the other citizens of the land? The animals, the birds, whom we are slaughtering in the slaughterhouses today. Aren't they the citizens of the land? Are we living legally? Are we abiding by our quota? No, we are not. No, we are not. how many of you would agree that the average, what should I say, mortality rate in this country is going up? How many of you would say that? No, sorry, not mortality rate. Longevity, what would you say? Lifespan. Because of all the medical improvements and technology and everything. How many of you would say it's going up? Everybody almost here in the room is raising their hands. Now, if you include abortions in that statistic, what do you think? Those babies that we have killed with a 0 lifespan, which means the numerator isn't going up, but the denominator is increasing. What do you think? Their lifespan is going up or down? Down. Are we living legally? According to dharmic laws. Now, I don't want this to become a Roe v. Wade discussion. They're already having a lot of discussions over there. And so we are suffering collectively as a society. There was a recent video, very recently, you can search it on the YouTube. Mark Rober is a very famous YouTuber, makes all these nice videos. Have you heard of him? He's one of the top YouTube video makers. He had an interview with Bill Gates. It's a very nice video. And he visited he does a very nice research on whatever topics he takes and does very nice research. Let me stop screen sharing. So he went to these 2 places, Impossible and Beyond Meat, and Impossible Burgers or something. And then he did a whole research. And he showed that the amount of resources required of the planet to feed 1 week of humans, if we were to become vegetarian, it could feed the same number of humans for 1 year. He has done the research, Bill Gates agrees, and everything. It's all like, this is not some crazy Hare Krishna people or ISKCON people making it all up.
So 1 week of meat eating.
Oh, did I say the opposite? Whatever, you get the point.
1 week meat and one year of vegetarian.
Those same resources, that amount of grains that you have to feed the cow, the water, everything, all the resources can feed us humans for 1 year. And all that stuff. My point is, it's not about, so God has given us a nice place. We are beginning to encroach. We are violating this Ishavasya principle. Big time, not little time. I'm not a thief. I never went to jail. Yeah, by US laws, you have not gone to jail. Very soon you will. In the next life, that is called. You will appear in court. You will appear not in front of the local county court, not even the Supreme Court of the United States, but you will appear in Yamaraja's court. Oh, Krishna is like, he doesn't want to be bothered with all this. And then you will get your destination. So we are not living by the Ishavasya principle already. We have gotten used to that enjoyment. That is what happens. When the enjoyment separate from Krishna occurs, it is a slippery slope. That thought itself that I want to enjoy separately is the beginning of the slippery slope. Then it becomes I want to enjoy more. And the other part is now about the punishment. God has created all children. Even do you think the cows and the others are not children of God? So do you have 1 child or 2?
I have 2.
2, great. Good example. Good. So if one child, let's say, starts beating the other child for no reason, and you can clearly see that, one child is just being aggressive, would you punish him? Perhaps. Very nice. Yes. So when we don't follow the rules, and especially when we are encroaching on our brothers and sisters, obviously God has the right, just like as a father, I would do that. I also have 2 children. Why wouldn't he? So if we live a perfectly dharmic life, yes, we will be happy. That is actually what the second verse This Ishopanishad is so wonderful. It's exactly what it says in the next verse, verse number 2. One may aspire to live for hundreds of years, and when it says hundreds of years, it means happily for in this material world as long as he wants. If he goes on to live in the what is known as the Ishavasya principle, live a dharmic life. Next one, otherwise, if we do not, he may enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless. These are the hellish planets. Okay, so one suffers. So have you ever given a timeout to your children or any one child for doing something? Or I'm going to ground you. No TV, no video games, your phone is taken away. That's like our, Krishna is doing the same thing. So he has given us a place, and it's not like he has created these things. Oh, I'm going to give things to my child so he goes away from me more and more. He has created these opposite attractions so that he goes away from me. That is not the case. He has created equal, both things that will make him happy, and he keeps sending messages, come back. Now, we must understand, this is Kali Yuga. So here the propensity is more for us to completely forget Krishna, completely forget our Father. In Satyuga, it is actually the exact opposite. It's very hard to forget Krishna. And all the people living at that time in Satyuga are almost all on their way going back to their home. To get them to look the other way it's much harder. But Krishna has created both opportunities, because this is another very important point. We chose out of our free choice to go away from him. He wants us to freely choose to go back to him. He is God. He can make us, he can reprogram our mind. He can do anything. If there is something that God cannot do, then he's not God. Correct? God should be able to do everything. So he can also program our mind so that we just think, oh, I have to just go to God. But he doesn't want to do that. He wants it to be our free choice to go back to him, to choose him. So he's giving us both options. You want to stay here? I have created this place where you can stay happily, as long as you don't fight with your brothers and sisters. Then I'm going to take action. Okay, be nice, and then you can stay. I'm not very happy with it. You be happy. Your happiness is more important than mine. You be happy there. Don't fight. Don't trouble your brothers and sisters. And then I will give you equal opportunity. I'll give you a free choice. Out of your free choice, if you want to come back to me, I'm waiting for you. So he wants us to love him freely. He's looking for our love. And love is never forced. You would never put a gun on your wife's head and say, love me. You would be the happiest husband if your wife, out of no pressure at all, loves you, isn't it? That's called love. Isn't there that saying that if you love someone, set them free? If they come back, they were always yours. And if they don't, they were never yours. Something like that. So as a person who is expecting someone's love, you want to leave them completely free. And then if they love you, that means that is real love. If you dangle a carrot, or if you do any force, sam, dam, danda, bhed, and then out of that, they show some inclination towards you, then it's a little sketchy. Then they will leave at the first opportunity when the sam, dam, danda, bhed is not applicable. Correct?
Yeah.
So that is why he has created this material world with facilities, with some distress. And yes, he wants us to be happy you brought up the question of your child, your family, all those things. Now, one more point to mention is that bhakti, that is why bhakti marg is so nice. It does not, when we discussed, I think you may have missed these parts, which is why I kind of said, okay, aren't my students attending all the classes? Aren't they getting everything like this? Maybe not. And that's why the teacher repeats that the first 6 chapters were talking about other margs, other paths, Jnana marg, Dhyana marg, Karma marg, all those. So in Jnana marg, for example, it requires complete detachment from results, attachments or fruits, results of your work, and so on. Okay. What did I say? Now we are entering to Bhakti marg. Why? There are 2 reasons why Krishna mentioned the first 6 chapters. He could have directly started Bhagavad Gita with Bhakti, because that's the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Why waste time, beating around the bush? So Krishna was not beating around the bush. I must have, because this is a very important aspect of Bhagavad Gita. You can go back and look at the videos. 2 reasons why Krishna covers the first 6 chapters. One is to show us all for sake of completeness. Here are all the other paths. So that one who reads Bhagavad Gita, and if it only had Bhakti Marg, one would get confused. Okay, what about all these others? So Krishna is showing those and saying this one is better. Yoginam api sarvesham mad gatena antaratmana. At the very end of 6th chapter, last verse, 6.47. He gives a hint. All these yogis, among all of them, the best is Yogina same yukta tamo mataha, who is always engaged in me. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana, who is in his man. I am residing always. Madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam. With lot of shraddha, who is doing my bhajan. Same yukta tamo. Tama means the best. Mataha, in my opinion. He is the best. So Lord Krishna is saying at the end of 6 chapters that Bhakta is the best. So that is the first reason for completeness. And the second reason is that those same concepts must be applied to bhakti, but not fully. Not fully. So yes, you must have detachment, or you should not be overly attached to child and family and this. The first priority should be Krishna, but it doesn't mean leave your child. Have your child, your family, bring them up also in a Krishna conscious way. Give them bhakti. As a father, it's a duty. Like you give food to your child. Do you send your children to good schools? Yes. Do you give them nice clothing, nice food, nice things? So you're caring for their body. What about caring for their soul? As a father, shouldn't you be doing that? So give them the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita as well. Make them a devotee as well. Make them a bhakta. And then in that way, you apply detachment. You may have to give up some other things. We gave up some other things. We homeschooled our children. Our kids missed school, sort of going to school or, getting into this. My children used to say, one of the things I miss about from homeschooling is getting on the school bus. So you have to give up some things to get some things. But they say today that I would not have had my schooling done any other way. So whatever we learned, we gave. So there is attachment, but it's not complete. There is detachment, it's not full. Bhakti is the middle marg. Okay? And it yet leads to the topmost destination. And therefore, bhakti is the best process, especially for Kali Yuga. Because in our minds, we cannot be fully detached. Yes, just like you said. And bhakti allows for that. That is exactly why Lord Krishna says, Ma manusmara tapasya cha. No. Vana cha. Let's go to vana. Vanvas. No. What does he say? Yuddha cha. Be engaged in your duty and do my bhakti. So it is a middle path. And middle path doesn't mean that it is a mediocre path. No. Middle path means it's a hybrid path, but still leads to the topmost destination.
And it is very joyful.
And that's what we will cover. And it's very happy, very joyful. So here in this, picture, we see, a nice family doing bhakti nicely. It's like a family picture. Okay. That is bhakti. So did the body of your questions, like said, you had, but we talked about the punishment part, the attachment to family. Why is this material world here? There is pains and pleasures. There are attachments. I think I covered all the aspects of this was like a little primer on the entire process of bhakti and why we are here. So I hope there was clarity. And if not, then you can go back and listen again.
No, I think what you explained was how it started, and you explained the use of free will
Yes.
and free choice as the reasons for people having to make different kinds of choices. But my question is not fully answered.
Which part? I'll
honest
yep,
about
yep,
that.
yep. Please keep going. Yes, go ahead.
Because while there is free choice to be made, the free choice possibilities could be narrowed to those possibilities, which would still be free choices, that all lead to God himself.
No.
Why not?
Free choice means that's like saying that in a multiple choice question, let's say it has, a right set of answers and a wrong set of answers. No. So free choice means there have to be the choice. There are only two choices. Let's not split hair on the right group of, let's just say there's one right choice, one wrong choice. Let's simplify the discussion. That's the free choice. If you don't have the right and the wrong choice, or let's say A and B, A goes to this destination, B, there's no right and wrong. There's no right and wrong. Krishna has already sent you out. You wanted to go. So we don't want to get into, if he only offers us the right set of choices, it's still choices, but it's like only the right set of choices. No. Then it's not the complete set of choices.
So where I disagree on that is if my kids were to say that I want to go away from you because I want to experience certain things. And if I were to do that, then I would say, okay, no problem, go. But the bounds within which, if I could make the rules, and I don't, when they go, for example, to college, the rules under which they have to operate are not made by me. But in this particular case, when God sent us, then God made those rules.
No. One sec. You're equating two different things. They want to go away from you. They just want to go away from you. Here you're saying they're just going away from your home in Portland to another home under your care in college. Okay, for getting some valuable experience, which you and your child both agree are valuable for him. That whole example doesn't apply in this case. That still they are under your care. They haven't abandoned you.
But even if they do abandon, for example, abandon, I don't want to use the word abandon necessarily.
That's the exam. That's the word that needs to be used, because that's what we have done. That's exactly what we have done. And unknown to us, he has created this place without our knowledge. I didn't mention this because we were so rebellious that I will not even stay in a place which you have created. So he just creates a place and you go and figure it out. This looks like a nice place. I think I'll be happy, but ultimately it was created by the Father himself, because there is nothing else, nobody else to create anything. The Shastra right there says, Isha Vashyam Idam Sarvam. And that Idam is the Purnam Idam. Om Purnamadha Purnam Idam. So yes, everything is there for, he only can create anything. So he has created this unknown to us. We think we have found it, but he has created it and we don't. How many people think here, look at ourselves. Oh, this is God's property. Let me not misuse it. We treat it as our own. The godless people don't think about God. Oh, they don't have any, they just treat it as this is there for my enjoyment. It just happens to be there. They are just too oblivious to even to stop and think for a moment, where did this come from? Did it just appear out of nowhere? Where did this earth planet come from? This speck of dust in the universe with all the perfect conditions to sustain life. And this little piece of land, which I call my own. Where did this come from? If you put a seed in it, a whole plant comes which gives a million other seeds, which I can then enjoy. Where is this whole thing? How is this happening? How is this running? I'm just blissfully ignorant, not even stopping for 1 second and thinking, how is this happening? Who's the creator? If you see a watch, there must be a watchmaker. It doesn't appear by itself. This goes back to creationism and intelligent design versus the universe came by chance. So he has not made it obvious to us that he created it, but if one stops and thinks, very soon one will realize somebody created it. You may not know the name. We have deserted, abandoned our father so long back that we don't even remember his name, what he looks like. But if we stop and think, we will realize somebody's got to have created this. There is no other way for the world to work. That's just how it is. And then we use it for our enjoyment. So now what's your question?
My original question is not fully answered.
Go ahead.
That's okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I would like to answer.
Because
this is a good discussion.
Even if we abandon him,
yes.
Right? Even if we abandon him, he knew, knows, and will know all that is the right path versus not the right path. Because everything in the first Upanishad verse that you showed very clearly says that everything is created by me.
Yes.
Right? So even if we abandon him, if he wants the best for us, then all of the pain and suffering happens primarily because of greed, want, and jealousy.
Correct.
More or less.
Yes, we said that.
So if those emotions were not created by him, then it is possible that the path that people would choose would be a path that would be much more aligned to the
and lead us back to God. Let's be very clear.
So if he really loves us, and I do believe, I'm not being heretic over here, I do believe that God loves us, and I do believe.
Why did he create those emotions?
Why did he create those possibilities?
So
even without those possibilities, there would be enough of a spectrum.
It's the same question. No. So please try to listen. And now I will say it will require time for it to sink in. Okay. It's the same question. If that was your question.
My question is the same, but it's not been fully answered, is what I've been saying.
Okay. Then, like I said, let's depend on the last 25% for it to get answered. I'll again try to answer it one last time. Okay, we'll resort to the other 25%, the first 25%. And then we'll leave it to the last 25%, which is time. Okay, one last time. The root, the bahiravritti, bahirmukhavritti, is exactly the same thing which leads to greed, jealousy, and whatever else you said. The root is our ahankar, going back to that first class or the second class. Ahankar means I come first. False ego, but I come first. Everybody else comes second. Self-centeredness. That is what caused us to leave in the first place. That is the root. So I'm not interested in the subdivisions. Let's just talk brass tacks. Okay. Just the root items. The root is our ahankar. Why we left our home. Okay. Those are the same things why we fight with our brothers and sisters. Same thing. I come first. Ahankar. me first. It's the same root. Yes, the emotions could be jealousy, it could be greed, it could be X, Y, Z, whatever. They're all the derivatives. All right. And that is our free will. That's always at the root level, it's a binary choice. You're saying, take off this choice. Give me a bunch of other sub choices within this good side, and it's still choice. No, that's not a choice at all. You've taken out the whole one side of choices. The choice at the root level is Bahirmukha or Antarmukha. Those are the only two fundamentally choices. We have, so always we have a choice. Krishna will give us that choice. Love me not. At the fundamental way, now as part of love, I can go kiss you, I can give you a cupcake, I can give you this, I can take. Those are all the other choices I can say. Or not love you means I ignore you, I never respond to your letters, so many other things. We can all say, oh, this is, I still have a choice, whether you kiss me, whether you take me to a nice, whatever, park to spend time with you, take me to a movie. I have choices. No. Then that becomes just a very argument for the sake of it. That's how I would like to respond. That's all I see in your question. That's what I am experiencing in the question. And I am very flatly saying that you're severely limiting the choices. That one big domain of choices, which is all that choice is about, that is the choice between that one big domain and this other big domain. You're taking it away, and you're now somehow trying to wedge the argument in. I don't. That's you're you've changed the game here.
That's fine.
All right. So, okay.
Thank you.
So that's what my response would be.
I would like to, like, even to feel the sweetness, you need to experience that sourness or bitterness. Then only you will realize, I mean, in my experience, that the sweet is sweet. If you only have an option sweet, it becomes the sour too. It can, because if you eat too much sugar, what happens? Right? I feel that life is all about choices, but we make mistakes. Then only you realize that you made a mistake once you suffer. Otherwise, like I hurt my mom. I mean, when I hurt my mom when I was a kid, right? But I only realize it now when my kids hurt me. I feel it's the same universal law.
Okay, we have Suresh Prabhu's hand raised from a long time. So let's take his question and then we'll end it.
Yeah, Hari Om. Thank you. This is a different question. So on the 8.7, the Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu, it ends with it ends saying that you will attain me.
Yes.
Right? And then you also kind of referenced the 7.19, which is Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate.
Yes.
So in that one, it appeared like you will attain me in this life. Whereas in this one, appears like.
Which one it appeared that you will attain me in this life? 7.9?
In 7.19, which is Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sa Durlabaha.
Correct.
Right? And this one, the 8.7 has Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Ma Manusmara Yudhyacha Mai Arpita Mano Buddhihi Ma Me Vaishyasya Samshayah. So this appears like once you, because 8th chapter, at least to me, appears like mostly it's about passing away. And it appears like after you pass away, then you will attain me, right? So could you kind of clarify my doubt from that kind of
I'm not
perspective?
getting your doubt. So are you saying that in 7.19 it refers to many, many lives, whereas in 8.7 it is talking about this life?
Yeah, or it's talking about 8.7 is talking about when you leave this life. You
Yes.
will attain me when you leave this life,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
And in 7.19, at least I felt like you are attaining it in that life itself. After many lives,
Life and this life, I'm getting
while
confused.
living, one is while living, the other is while passing away.
Leaving and passing
No,
away.
while being alive. That's
So in
Yeah.
which are you saying it's while being alive?
in 7.19, that's what I felt. So maybe
Prapadyate means taking shelter of. Okay, taking shelter of Krishna. And that
Okay.
verse is referring to the Jnanis, those who have pursued the path of Jnana. Because if you see the sequence, you can go back and listen to the videos. The sequence, how did it come to 7.19? Please listen and I'll try to answer your question. It starts off with we'll pick the starting point as 7.14. How it starts? Daivihi esha gunmayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. That take shelter of me and you will cross over this ocean. Maya of this samsara. And then 7.15 he says, but people don't get it. There are these 4 types of people: Mudha, Naradhama, Maya, Prahita Jnana, and Asuras. And then there are the 4 types of people: Artha, Arthathi, Jigyasu, and Jnani. And 7.17 says, among all the Jnanis, the best is the Bhakta. But in 18 he says, the others are also very nice. At least they are taking some steps towards me. But 19, then he says, those who are at least taking some steps but are not Bhaktas, they come to me after a long time. Bahunam Janmanam Ante. They come to the 7.14 level. Mam Prapadyate. That is in 7.14. Daivihi esha gunamayi mama maya duratya mam eva ye prapadyante. Then they can cross the boat. So the 7.19 is talking about those who have spent their so many lifetimes in these other processes. Finally, they come to that level of 7.14, the level of Shuddha Bhakti, of taking shelter in that life. And then when they take shelter in that life of Krishna, take shelter, it doesn't mean Mam Upaishyati. They haven't attained, they have taken shelter. Then in that life, they will do Mai Arpita Mano Buddhir Sarveshu Kaleshu Ma Manusmara. They will do that. Okay. The details, I'm trying to connect the whole thing here. So when they have taken shelter out of 7.19 and 7.14, then they will do my smarana throughout that particular life. And then at the end of the life, they will be able to do Antakale Chamameva. And then Yah Prayati Samad Bhavan. They will come to me. So that is the sequence.
okay, that clarifies it. Yeah, thank you. So I think the 7.19 is more about taking the shelter, not actually attaining. Okay.
Coming to the path of Shuddha Bhakti.
Yeah.
And you execute Shuddha Bhakti in a given life, whichever life that is, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, after many, many lives. In some particular life, you do Bhakti by remembering Krishna all the time and doing your duty by following this Bhakti Marg, middle path. Okay. And then you will be able to remember Krishna at the time of death, or he will remember you one way or the other. You will go to him.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that clarifies it. Appreciate it.
All right. Okay, there are 1 or 2 questions on the chat. Let's see. Okay, fine. Please forgive for asking this question. No, all questions are good. Where it is mentioned that we all want to separate from Lord Krishna, why it happened to all of us? Initially, we are all good kids of Lord Krishna, but what makes us think about separation and get stuck in the maternal world, not maternal, but material world? Okay. So first of all of us, I want to focus on that angle of the question. All of us. Okay, why all of us did. I'll just give an example. Okay, just an example I will give. A jail. I hope nobody has gone to jail, but you've seen it in movies, right? Are those people let outside ever? Not supposed to. Let's say they don't. It's a strict jail, Alcatraz. So they don't get out, and then all these prisoners are looking at each other, saying, "All of us are here. We are never let out." Very bad, huh? All of us. At least one should have been outside. Everyone is inside only. So what would you call them? What would you tell such a person if you hear this from someone?
Outside.
Huh?
We're outside.
Yeah, there are probably 10 million, 100 times or million times more people outside. You are only stuck inside and you are looking within the four walls. It will appear to you as if the entire population is inside only. If you ever got a chance to look out, you will see that there are millions of times of people outside enjoying happily. You are the unfortunate ones who are stuck inside. Isn't it? Similarly, this material world is very tiny. Whatever I showed you in that picture, even though it looks half-half, but that's just a picture. Actually, the size is very tiny. The spiritual world is so much bigger. That's like the outside world. You can think of it like that. So many people are just with Krishna there and enjoying happily. We are the unfortunate. We think, oh, everybody is inside only. That's how it will appear. And it's not like we are never being given a glance, a view of outside. Bhagwan has sent so many people from outside to the inside to tell us how it looks outside. He's himself coming and telling. He himself comes, like we said, once every day. Father himself comes in the material world once in a day of Brahma and leaves a lot of writings. He has many other businesses to do, but he leaves a lot of writings for us, which give us a glimpse. And the Bhagavatam and all have description over description over description of, like, you'll go, your whole life will be spent and you will not be still able to read all the descriptions of the outside world. There is so much. So don't say there isn't available. Information is available. How to get out is also available. And all that is available. Now the only question is, do you want to remain inside? Sometimes the prisoner says, I've spent so much time inside, why have to go outside? This prison itself is good enough.
I thought he was asking the question somewhat differently. He was
Yes.
asking about why did the Atmas in the spiritual world want to leave that?
Correct. That is another part of the question. That is a different part, or separate part of the question. I was just answering one aspect of it. Now the other part of the question is, why did we have that thought? Even while we are in the spiritual world, please try to understand this. Even when we are there with Krishna, that is there continuously out of our free will. Free will has always been there and will always. That is one of the innate, that is actually the only thing that the jiva has. I don't know if you have heard it in the classes before. The soul is not the doer. Look at 3.27, how it starts. 3.27. Prakriteha kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashah ahankara vimhudatma karta aham iti manyate. So the soul thinks, or the mind makes the soul think that karta aham, the soul is the doer. Soul is not the doer. The soul has one job, or it has one capacity, to desire. Desire means what? Exercise of free will. That is desire. I want this. You had a will. I want to eat oranges. Okay. So the soul, and at the root level, the soul has one of two desires: to be with Krishna or to be away from Krishna. Okay. Now, rarely, because the soul is in the state of bliss, why would he ever want to leave? But now this question is not answered anywhere in the Shastra as to what causes, where that free will causes that thought or that desire comes let me go taste the other side. I've tasted this side. Let me go taste the other side. Let me turn the other way. Bahirmukha. This is not answered as to why that happens. That happens. But it happens very rarely. Okay. So that is the best answer available. And this is a very important question. And that's the answer that is there. So this part of the answer, that why we would look the other way. The other way, why we would look anywhere, is answered because we always have free will. Always. That has never been taken away. Even in the spiritual world, we continue to have free will. Okay. Every moment we are exercising our free will, just like you are all exercising your free will. If you want, you can just stand up and punch me on camera. It will get recorded and then police will come. But you're not doing that. But you have that possibility. You're not exercising it because you know there will be consequences. So continuously you're making a choice to behave nicely in my home here. But it's a choice you're making. Continuously, at every moment, you're making a choice. So similarly, the jiva is continuously making a choice to be with Krishna, even when he's already with Krishna. Okay. So that is the full answer to the question. And this part of the question is not answered in the Shastra. Okay. So that's how much we will live with. So thank you very much. Some very quick announcements. Next week, no class. Because, and there's a wonderful opportunity, one of the greatest scholars I know, that I have access to, the best scholars of Vedic knowledge. He's a very young person. He's 10 years younger than me, or some 5, 10, 8, 10, something looks like. But it's not the age in this life. He's probably, been accumulating this knowledge from previous lives and all that. I don't know. But very, 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 like the best scholar of Vedic knowledge that I know, contemporary who exists, is coming to Portland. And he will do classes here and everything and all that. And so we are going to do a whole series of multiple classes and topics, and it will be, for me, it's like a, I don't know, if you're a hardcore, I don't know, cricket fan, then Tendulkar is coming here or whatever. Or if you're a basketball fan, then I don't know, LeBron James or. So we'll have a lot of fun here. You're welcome to join. If you want information of the sessions, they're all open to public. You can tell me or tell my wife. They'll be on topics of his choice and beautiful topics, deep into bhakti topics, but he's going to be able to answer any questions. And his level of answers will be nowhere close to mine. They'll be on a different level. So anyway, I hope I've given you a teaser. Please come. And in the summer, we'll miss a few sessions because they'll be all for spiritual reasons only. We are not going on a vacation anywhere or this or that or anything like that. There'll be other visitors, or we'll be visiting some other holy places. So there'll be gaps in our meetings. But every time that there is nothing like that going on, we'll have a class and I'll keep you informed. So again, try not to miss this wonderful opportunity to hear from, and his name is Hari Parshad Das. All right. Anything else? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.